Coach Patty, the grammar coach, and today we're learning about the 12 verb tenses. Let's go. Okay, so a lot of us know the three main verb tenses. You know, your past, your present, your future tense. And a lot of us think it stops at that. But English is super complicated. There are actually 12 verb tenses in the English language. So when you're thinking of your 12 verb tenses, you have to think of kind of the aspect of them. So you have your simple tenses, you have your progressive tenses, you have your perfect tenses, and then you have your perfect progressive tenses. Don't worry, we'll break all that down. Okay, so the one that we all know, love, use every day is going to be your simple verb tense. So that is still broken down into past, present, and future, but real simplistically. So you have I walk, I walked, I will walk, and those are going to be your simple past, present, and future. Okay, so besides the simple tenses, the other tenses are going to need some help because you can't just completely manipulate, your words and throw accents on them. We have words that help us out. So what's going to help us form the different tenses are going to be our auxiliary verbs. So auxiliary verbs are going to help the main verb. You've also heard of them as probably helping verbs. So these are going to be your words like am, is, are, was, were, being, been, shall, should, would. You got your ought to, need, might. So these are just words that you pair with another verb to kind of get like a verb phrase going. And this is what's going to help you get to different tenses. And remember, these are called auxiliary verbs. I'll use them to explain the other verb tenses besides simple. So, all right, so then you have your progressive tenses, and they really talk about an ongoing or progressive action. So you still have your progressive past, you still have your progressive present, you still have your progressive future, and it goes from the simple to the progressive by adding in kind of an auxiliary verb. So we'll go for progressive past, I was walking to the store. Progressive present, I am walking to the store. Progressive future, I will be walking to the store. So it just has this kind of element like this is actively what's going on into it, but it still packs on that same verb. It just has that little auxiliary on there to kind of let you know the past, the present, or the future, the was, the am, or the will be. Then next we'll have our perfect tenses. So think of something that's going to be completed or perfected, and that's what your perfect tense means. So I had walked to the store. Do you see how like it's already been accomplished? I had walked to the store. That's going to be your past. For your present, you have I have walked to the store. And then for your future, you say like this really ugly construction, but it is the perfect future tense of I will have walked to the store. So those are going to be your perfect tenses. It's typically using the word like have or had to kind of show that completed, perfected action. Okay, and then finally, we have our perfect progressive. So this is a combination of the progressive and the perfect. Boom, perfect progressive. And the perfect progressive discusses a future action that's going to be ongoing. So there's a lot of auxiliary verbs here. Just bear with me. So for perfect progressive past, you're saying I had been walking to the store. Okay, so you have the had been walking. That construction is going to be your perfect progressive past. Your perfect progressive present is I have been walking to the store. So you had been as your past perfect progressive, and then for your present perfect progressive, you have I have been walking to the store. And then for your future perfect progressive, you say I will have been walking to the store. Now, you probably have an English teacher who frowns upon your be verbs, but these are the actual constructions of the words. Just to make sure you got it, let's have a quick review with the verb walk, and then we're gonna mix it up with all of our 12 tenses. Now, I don't want to make that seem that simple. Of course, there are our 12 verb tenses, but there are also some irregularities that kind of mix it up and throw off the ease of kind of just figuring out your verb tenses. So, just like in every other language, English has irregular verbs. Some that are super popular that we use all the time that we know are going to be like a do. So you have your do, your does, your did. It changes the word completely. The word be changes to is, which can change to was or am or were or like how did we get there? Forgive goes to forgave. Bring goes to brought. Build goes to built. I mean, you have burn and you just throw a T on there with burnt. Begin, began. Eat, ate. So there's a lot of irregular verbs. In fact, there are over 100. There's maybe even 200. I don't know. I haven't personally counted them. But don't let irregular verbs get the best of you, especially not took. So remember, tooken isn't a word. You got your take, you got your took. So just be careful. Try to learn those and really throw them in so that you're not using those words incorrectly. Here are a bunch of irregular verbs. Here are a bunch of irregular verbs that might trip you up. Here they are. These don't change the normal way. I said these don't change the normal way. I can't sing, but I can teach y'all grammar. Right, so as a review, there are 12 verb tenses in English. They are your present simple, your present continuous, your present progressive, your present perfect, your present perfect continuous slash progressive, your past simple, your past continuous slash progressive, your past perfect continuous slash progressive, your future simple, your future perfect, your future continuous slash progressive, and your future perfect continuous slash progressive. There's a lot of words there. You don't necessarily need to understand this is going to be the progressive future, but you do need to understand how to kind of conjugate those verbs to make sure you're using the word right to really convey what you're meaning to convey. And a lot of that comes from our auxiliary verbs. So those helping verbs that assist in changing your tense, changing your mood. And we're going to learn more about that later. Also with verbs for our next lesson, we're going to talk about active and passive voice because it makes no sense to be using good verbs if you don't have a subject attached to it and you're being passive. So we're going to be active learners and learn about active and passive voice next time. Thanks again, as always. Coach Patty out. That was supposed to hit the camera.